JD Vance may need a GPS to restore his dignity after Jimmy Kimmel's late-night obliteration, so hold on to your seats. This roast wasn't your typical one. With surgical precision, Kimmel tore through Vance's MAGA bootlicking, sold-out principles, and political flip-flops. Each and every punchline revealed the hypocrisy Vance has been concealing. When the monologue was over, Vance's reputation was in ruins. I promise you won't want to miss Kimmel's humiliating dismantling of him.
Vance celebrated his Zelensky sucker punch with a ski trip. The Vance traveled to the Sugarbush Resort, which coincidentally, Sugarbush is also J.D. Vance's Secret Service code name. But Vance, I think he picked the wrong state to relax him, because when he got to Vermont, he was greeted by hundreds of protests.
Subscribe if you're enjoying it. Additionally, we are selling Trump merchandise for a short period of time. The description contains the link. Let's discuss J.D. Vance. He is so committed to the art of self-reinvention that he makes chameleons, shapeshifters, and full-fledged method actors appear incredibly indolent. At this point, JD would be Olympic gymnastics material if he flipped any harder. JD was once strutting around as the intellectual cowboy of middle America, and that was not even that long ago. It was easy for the tough-talking, Yale-educated best-selling author to dissect Trump with surgical accuracy. The conservative outsider who spoke truth to power and still had dirt under his fingernails, he was supposed to be the voice of reason.
No, not that guy. No. There you go. The other dark-haired, bearded dude right in front of that one, J.D. Vance. I got to tell you something, man. That ain't right. It's like for vice president, Donald selected the actor who would be hired to play Don Jr. in the Lifetime movie.
What do we have now in the future? You half expect the same guy, now so twisted into a Trump supporter, to arrive at Mar-a-Lago, decked out in pom-poms. It's not subtle at all. The change is so drastic and thorough that it merits its own Marvel origin story. Come on, Bruce Banner. The amazing shrinking backbone is what we're discussing.
Former president's comments yesterday to the National Association of Black Journalists, where he said that Vice President Harris is, quote, all of a sudden black. As a father of 3 biracial children, did those comments give you pause at all?
They don't give me pause at all. Look, all he said is that Kamala Harris is a chameleon. She goes to Georgia 2 days ago. She was raised in Canada. She puts on a fake Southern accent. She is everything to everybody, and she pretends to be somebody different depending on which audience she's in front of. I think it's totally reasonable for the president to call that out.
Jimmy Kimmel, too? Oh, Kimmel said, yeah, let's unpack that mess. After taking one look at that political 180, it's the political equivalent of selling your soul at a garage sale and adding your self-respect as a free bonus, because JD's flip-flop is more than just a slight change in viewpoint. Kimmel wasted no time in denouncing the entire performance.
Trump's running mate, Maybelline brand ambassador J.D. Vance, he enjoys taking questions from the press at his appearances so the crowd can boo the reporters. I guess that's fun for him. So at a campaign stop in Detroit, a reporter asked him about these calls with Putin, and JD doesn't seem to have any problem with them at all.
You are familiar with the procedure. Vance once described Trump as unfit for office, corrosive, and a threat to democracy. He said it, you name it. At the anti-Trump roast, he was essentially in the front row. However, he eventually came to the realization that a political book deal cannot be made without kissing the ring. He seems to have been struck by a mind control ray that says, "Make America great again," all of a sudden. All that intellectual bluster lost, all that moral superiority evaporated. Kimmel went all out, emphasizing that Vance's metamorphosis is the political equivalent of witnessing someone exchange their spine for a badge of loyalty. Since it's true, every jab has a greater impact. JD didn't simply change course. Now he marches in lockstep with the man he warned America about, abandoning every principle he sold to the public and stuffing it into a mega hat. It's almost poetic. The once defiant voice of J.D. Vance is reduced to nodding along as Trump makes a mess of interviews, rants about crowd sizes, and posts angry messages at 3 in the morning. Vance's entire character now centers on serving as Trump's emotional support system, ready to yell at the Orange Master whenever he loses his temper. At this pace, it would be prudent for someone to see if he has a property of Mar-a-Lago stamp on his forehead. Kimmel did not need to stretch at all. The content is self-explanatory. How does one effortlessly transform from a harsh critic to a sycophantic yes man? Easy. Pretend strategy, sell out, and hope no one notices. However, everyone was aware. Jimmy in particular, not to mention the irony. Vance developed his reputation by denouncing the very political swindlers he is currently imitating. It's like watching a man desperately attempt to edit his own Wikipedia page in real time, while the receipts are all over him as he clings to Trump like a lifeboat. Kimmel ensured that those receipts were prominently displayed. At this point, it's performance art rather than merely hypocrisy. The funniest part is that JD believes no one remembers his old quotes, interviews, or outrage anymore. Jimmy Kimmel and the internet both never forget JD. Naturally, Jimmy Kimmel took notice of this because when a Silicon Valley tech investor with a Yale degree starts speaking like he was raised on Fox News sound bites, baptized in Bud Light, and born inside a Bass Pro shop, what else are you supposed to do? You roast him in public, viciously, relentlessly, and Kimmel didn't just hold back. On national television, he essentially assembled a comedy demolition crew and destroyed JD Vance's entire rebranding. You know what will get me votes? JD seemed to think as he looked in the mirror one morning, acting like I grew up rebuilding carburetors and chewing tobacco. It doesn't matter that Jimmy saw through the fact that he spent the majority of his career in boardrooms rather than the backcountry. JD's new persona triggered his political cosplay radar like a 5-alarm fire.
As somebody who doesn't like Trump, myself, the elites were right about Donald Trump, right? I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him.
I can't stomach Trump. I think that he's noxious and is leading the white working class to a very dark place. If I feel like Trump has a really good chance of winning, I might have to hold my nose and vote for Hillary.
This woman is not a show-off. She's just telling what happened so we can know it.
Yeah, and it's sort of, it makes you think that at a fundamental level, this is sort of a he said, she said, right? And at the end of the day, do you believe Donald Trump, who always tells the truth? Just kidding. Or do you believe that woman on that tape?
No, denial is normal.
And
I didn't even need to exaggerate, Kimmel. He made clear what the rest of us had been considering. What makes a man in Silicon Valley suddenly act like the missing Duck Dynasty member while sipping lattes? It's the equivalent of a billionaire showing up in camouflage and feigning surprise that Walmart sells cars. Jimmy delved deeply. He made fun of JD for adopting this southern drawl out of the blue, as if it were a given at every Trump rally. He made fun of Vance's transition from authoring best-selling autobiographies to supporting Trump while sporting the same glazed expression Mike Pence had after 4 years of being used as a prop. And because J.D, quote S's transformation was so blatantly obvious, every punchline was spot on. It became a late-night clinic on how to identify a sellout in real time, thanks to Kimmel. J.D, quote, S credibility was left flat on the studio floor as a result of the unrelenting surgical takedowns that showed no mercy or subtle jabs. In order to defend his transition from Trump critic to Trump loud hailer, Vance has been engaging in Olympic-level mental gymnastics over the past few years. He's the same person who once likened Trumpism to an addiction to heroin. Look it up, really. He now appears to be the most eager campaign intern in the world, nodding in agreement whenever Trump says something insane, which happens about every 7 seconds.
99% of the country, they don't vote on who the vice presidential nominee. They're voting for Donald Trump or for Kamala Harris, not for JD or Tim Walz, right? But what I think that he does believe, because he made it the main focus of his vetting process, is, do I think this person can be president on day one if, God forbid, something happens? Yes. So I absolutely am sure that Donald Trump is confident in my abilities. I also think that he's right.
The politics of this, in my opinion, are also correct. As Kimmel was out there making fun of JD Vance on national television, JD's fans did what they always do, which is to cry to cancel culture while attempting to cancel a comedian. Elon Musk attempted to purchase the irony because it is so wealthy. Now JD finds himself torn between his real self and his false persona, which is the worst situation for any political opportunist. And late night hosts like Kimmel will always be there with the quotes, the clips, and the vicious jokes whenever he attempts to cover both sides. For the simple reason that JD Vance isn't a leader. He has been rebranded. A product, like a broken action figure that simply repeats, Trump was right every time you pulled the string. This fake politician was slapped together in a focus group, wrapped in buzzwords from the culture war, and thrust onto the Senate floor. Furthermore, the thing that enrages me the most isn't even the betrayal, it's arrogance. The way he moves about as if no one is watching. For example, none of his 2016 interviews are available on YouTube, and as if we hadn't all read Hillbilly Elegy and then seen him turn into the very thing he said he detested. However, Jimmy Kimmel lit the match after noticing. JD Vance is also learning the hard way, just like Trump did before him. Comedy is the best friend of truth, and nothing reveals a fake more quickly than a joke that hits too close to home.